Gina.
Hi, Rosa.
Nice to meet you.
I'm so excited
You
for
look
today.
beautiful.
So do you. I love your color.
Thank you.
Okay, I'm excited for today.
Yes.
Okay. Rosa, as you already know, I'm a multidisciplinary folk musician. So by that I mean I play music on my guitar and I write songs from the heart about stories that represent my life and the lives of those around me. I also write books. My major themes are nature. I love to connect with the land. I love to immerse myself with the I love to immerse myself in nature in order to just encourage myself, but also those around me, to think about our relationship to the environment, what we can do for the next generation and the next generation and the 7 next generations for environmental stewardship. And I think music and stories and songs play a big part in that. I didn't always start off as a musician. I studied engineering in university, and I graduated with an industrial engineering degree. And I loved it. It was so exciting to be able to look at a process from start to finish and to think about ways to make this process easier for people, easier for the patients. I worked in a hospital, easier for the doctors and the nurses and everybody who helped support this patient on their journey to health. And along that journey, at one point, I thought, I would like to stay home and raise my family. And so I decided then to put away my engineering career and start music along with my family.
I saw your website. Excellent.
Yeah,
Very impressive.
Oh, thank you. I love what I do, and I was looking at your website as well. It's so funny how sometimes you can know so much about a person online and before you meet them in person. So it's really exciting today.
Yeah, especially if you look at my photos online, you won't recognize me.
Oh, you're much
With
more
the
beautiful
makeup,
now.
no, with the makeup.
That's
when we
right.
put on Cantonese, like Chinese opera makeup, we look 20 years younger.
That's amazing.
So that's good. So every time when we finish our performance, some of the artists, they didn't want to take their makeup off. Yeah.
Well, it's like magic. Like when you're on the stage, you're creating something for an audience and you want them to feel that. So I can understand that the makeup's so important.
Yes, yes.
I love playing with makeup and also with clothing. I do folk music and folk music for families, and a lot of my audience is often very young. So many times I choose not to wear a lot of makeup because I want to make sure that everybody can see who I am. And I also don't want to dress in ways that are too distracting, with lots of colors and things. I want them to listen to the music. But recently, I've been exploring a few new projects and a few new collaborations. And I have this chance to rediscover creative play and experiment with costumes and color and just trying to make the visual image of the music more immersive so that it matches the sound that we're presenting.
So when you have time, maybe you should listen to some of Cantonese opera, infuse it in your music for the children. Mm-hmm. And actually, it's very interesting because also with our makeup and costumes, we do have many, many children artists in Cantonese opera. With the costume and makeup, they look so cute. So it's a good idea. Maybe we can collaborate sometime.
I would love that. Yeah, I love that there are so many different opportunities to experience fusion music, Chinese culture, heritage, here that we're living in Canada. Because for you to be bringing in special guests from Shanghai or different parts of Zhongguo, I think that it's really exciting for people who grew up here. Like, for example, my parents are from Taiwan, and I'm second generation, so they are the immigrants and I'm second generation. And I'm very lucky because I grew up listening to their language, Taiwanese and Mandarin. And then I went to Nanjing to study Zhongguo for 1 year. And because of that, I can speak the language, Mandarin. And I think it's just so amazing to unlock a new perspective through language. But as for the next generation, it's very difficult to maintain those connections to our ancestry, to our roots. So to hear opportunities like this is amazing.
Yeah. For me, I start my musical journey actually quite late. I came here in 1975. At that time, I was still and I got married, and then I raised a family. I have 2 kids. And I only started learning Cantonese opera in 1993. So when I came here, and then, but because when I was younger, Cantonese opera was considered old, no fun at all, so slow and so noisy. And then at that time, we followed the popular music. Well, so at that time, it was Beatles.
Mm-hmm.
And so, but since I came to Canada, maybe when you get to a certain age, you started to appreciate your own culture. And actually, we are very lucky that we are in Canada, especially in here, it's a multicultural communities. So I started learning in 1993, and then I'm a very focused person. When I started learning something, I focused all my time, my attentions, and then but for you said life is long. For me, I think life is short. There's so many things I have to learn, because in our generation, we don't have social media. Well, we use computer, but there's so many things I have to learn to how to work on the computer, especially recently, so many social medias. So and then in the year 2000, before I was learning, and then I was thinking, it's no fun to play by yourself. So I started volunteer teaching to seniors in Success. And then I started teaching to my friends what is Cantonese opera. I started teaching them performance technique.
Wow.
Because when I learn, I'm very focused. So I only take private lessons from teachers.
Okay, I think we're quite similar, because when I learn something, I get so excited, and I don't like being discouraged for too long. So I'm quite intense, and I love private lessons as well, because I like that learning curve is a lot faster, and you get that attention. So I can understand what you mean.
And in 1997, when I was surfing on the net, and I found a funding, never applied for any funding. Might as well, if I didn't get it, I have nothing to lose.
You're so brave.
I applied.
You're so brave. I love this story, Kate.
Yeah, because I don't want to spend my husband's money. So I applied when we got $2,000. That was a big deal. So I said, okay, let me have a performance. So I rented the Michael J. Fox Theater, and I told my friend, let's have a performance, free to everybody. But then after you calculate the budget, how about $20 per person? But at that time, it was 1997, so not so many Cantonese opera company or music society. So then we had the first performance, and then 1999. And then after that, I was thinking big. Okay, how about we do something big? I'm going to perform a long play, not just 节几戏, not a short repertoire. So I'm going to do the Young's family, 杨门女将. So that Young's family, that repertoire is a big opera. You have to have, on stage, we have about 40 performers. And then also the performers, in Vancouver, we don't have professional, right? So we have many professional teachers at that time. So we have to train them, and then we have to sew our own costume. We have to make our own costume. So it was a lot of fun. But at that time, we have to make prop in our garage. Well, I tell you, when I became a Cantonese opera artist, no regret, because life has become so colorful.
Colorful.
And I started meeting different people, and then lots of challenges, but you enjoy it. Then, and also because Cantonese opera is such a traditional art form, we sing in Cantonese, everything is in Cantonese. But at the beginning, we always have Chinese and English subtitles. But I don't know, maybe you never attend a long play. I have been thinking of an opera, that I want to write an opera, but that's fusion opera. The protagonist of the opera is called, as a real person, called Wang Waiquan. I met him in Chinatown Music Society. And when I was in the Music Society, I saw this gentleman, indigenous gentleman, sitting there, nobody talked to him. And then eventually, I was aware that whenever we have performances in the Chinese Cultural Center, he was the one in charge of the backstage. And we call him Wa Sok, Uncle Wa.
Okay.
And then originally, I thought, well, he must be an abandoned baby when he was born. He was born 1929. Then some Cantonese opera company maybe adopted him and took him back to China. So I was thinking, well, I will write an opera about him. And so we call it fusion opera. The reason I started thinking about fusion opera is because we have to change. We have to update Cantonese opera, not just in Cantonese. If we want mainstream audience, we have to do something they understand, they appreciate. So I start writing the opera. Then I interviewed Wa Suk's landlord. At that time, Wa Suk already passed away. He passed away in the year 2000. So when I did start doing it, it was the year 2020. So it was 20 years later. We interviewed the landlord, Philip, and he said, you know, Wa Suk's father is Chinese. His mother was indigenous. Also, that opened completely a new chapter. So I started searching information on the website, and I discovered about the Chinese-Canadian Exclusion Act. So this story the government loved it, and Canadians love it because it's talked about Canadian history, and also a history that not many of them is aware.
It's a hard history, though.
Yes.
It's a hard part of it.
Yeah, so we wrote this first fusion opera, and I was the playwright. So I wrote it in English. Then I sent the opera to Hong Kong, playwright in Cantonese opera. So he would translate.
Amazing.
So part of the opera was saying in English because the mother is an indigenous artist.
Right.
Because his mother was indigenous. So we love it. People love it. When you hear about Chinese, what does it mean to you? Okay, because I wasn't born in Canada. To me, Chinese is Chinese. Chinese, not Chinese-Canadian. Okay, so I really hope that we will keep all the virtue of Chinese culture. So the most basic one, to me, Chinese should be like the filial pieties. That's very important. But here, I don't see any. I mean, maybe in some Chinese family.
A loyalty to your parents.
Yes.
Okay.
I don't see, even in my own family, when I ask my son, will you take care of me when I get old? Well, you have your pension, you have your government support.
He has a good sense of humor, I think.
So they don't know what the meaning of taking care of your parents. So I think Chinese is someone who knows this. Of course, Chinese-Canadian is good too. Like they have the modern day mindset, and it's good. But for me, Chinese has at least to have some filial pieties towards your parents, towards your elders.
I can really understand that part about culture. Like when I think about the word Chinese, that in some ways is a very politically charged, label or description, identity, because you have people who are in disagreement about what Chinese means and who a Chinese person is, and you have some discussions and a lot of conflict about what territories belong to whom and what's an autonomous region and what is a different culture altogether. So I think that definitely these are large-scale conversations at every level, at a global level, economic level, geographical level. There's geopolitical issues at hand. What you're talking about is the context of culture. And I really can see for myself the value of keeping my identity through language as a foundation. Many people can refer to the customs, celebrations of Lunar New Year, Chinese New Year, the Lantern Festival, Mid-Autumn Harvest Festival, Spring Festival. You can talk about the different occasions that are important, like the day to go visit the gravesite, to go respect your ancestors. But I think that language as a foundation opens the door. It's like a passport into the lives of other people whom you can then learn with, dialogue with, connect with, understand. And it's always exciting for me to be able to understand somebody who speaks in Mandarin, who speaks in Cantonese, who speaks in Taiwanese, because I know beyond the words, there are cultural nuances that suddenly I understand. So for me, language is such an important part of Chinese culture, Chinese ethnicity, Chinese ancestry, Chinese roots.
I know language is very important, but someone who, like I know someone who taught in Hong Kong, she was born here for 15 years. Then for 15 years, if she want to learn Chinese writing, she could speak Cantonese. Then it's 15 years you can learn, right? But at that time, her friends mostly are English speaking,
right,
expatriate.
Right.
So when then she asked her mom, why didn't you take me to Chinese school? Then her mom said, we did, but you didn't want to learn.
It's difficult.
So language is important, but for me, I think it's very important to infuse to your children what I talk about, filial pieties. Because
the values.
Yeah, the values. Because language, they might not be able to, even they talk, they can speak,
right,
they might not be able to write. So my children, they all can speak Cantonese, but writing, no.
Right.
Even their own name. So I have a grandson now. At home, we speak to him in Cantonese. The day when he started nursery, then he started speaking English.
Right.
So I don't know. Eventually, maybe there will still be many people who can speak Cantonese, but writing, I don't know. But if you infuse the virtue to them, it will last.
It's true. It's true that the context is really important, and even for all these cultures, if you don't have a next generation to learn from, it's difficult to understand how these cultures and traditions play out in your real life. It's sometimes tricky to find the deeper meaning in all the actions that we're doing. So I think that having generations surrounded, multi-generations surrounding each other and helping each other is really important. Definitely the values of any culture is important, and what people learn from those around them, their teachers, their parents, their uncles or aunties, their grandparents, arts, what they're seeing, consuming in the society, I think all that is quite important as well to help move them along in the right thinking.
Chinese means maybe a magnificent world. You have to be there to appreciate it. Okay, and not to talk about art form, just the basic, the Chinese characters. The Chinese characters are almost like drawings, like has a meaning, Like when you say Ming, right? Yat, Ri, Yue, that is Ming, bright. So every Chinese character is a drawing. So that's why there's so much you have to learn, you can learn, but there's so much time that you have to put in to learn.
Can you tell me about the word tree, su, and then also lin, double su, and also the forest, shen lin? Yeah. Can you explain that? Because I mean, I've learned that as well, but I love to hear that story, because the su is written so that it looks like a tree.
Okay, this is called not shu, wood. 木 木，这是木。
木，对。
When you have one tree, that's 木， and then when you have two, that is 林，姓林，
姓林。
So it's more than two trees. And then when you have three, there's a big forest.
That's right. But I love that symbolism. How when you're writing one of those pictures, you're representing wood from a tree.
Yes.
Then when you combine this picture with a second picture, you have a description of a forest.
Small one.
And then when you put three together, you have a picture and a character and a word that means and represents a larger forest. And you're right, this is another beautiful thing about the Chinese language. It's very pictorial.
And also, when the Chinese language is between your families, so when I say, like, my mother-in-law, or my mother, we will say differently, or my grandma. My grandma on my father's side and the grandma on the father's side. We have different saying to to call them greeting, right?
Another example of a sense of place, not only in geography, not only through nature, but also through a sense of personhood.
Yeah, like the cousins on both sides different. Like on my father's
And
side,
confusing.
even like for us not confusing, but for my children,
Yeah.
like the father's side, grandma is mama.
Mama.
And the mother's side,
Ama.
grandma is 婆婆.
婆婆.
Yeah, 爷爷, 公公.
公公.
So yeah, it's so. But the other language, the English, they will just be one. Is that right? Just one.
Grandmother.
Yeah.
For myself, when I look at myself, I want to feel confident about where I've come from, because if I know more about my history, if I know more about my culture, if I'm proud of where my parents have come from, if I feel like I can connect with all of my peers, no matter what language they speak, no matter where they've come from, then I know that I have something to share with others. So for me, I'm coming back to language because it is something that I'm quite passionate about. And maybe from a linguistic perspective, just being able to figure out verbs and tenses and sentence formations and grammar structures, but also because in my experience, I've just loved the way that I get to know people more deeply through conversation. When I spent a year in Nanjing and also when I worked in Taiwan, I came back from those experiences understanding my parents much better. And the things they would say that once offended me or that once created distance between us, I suddenly felt closeness. I suddenly could understand the greater meaning behind the phrase. And I think that's the same with anything, whether it's French or Spanish or Estonian or English, Mandarin, Chinese, all the different dialects. So I know that I don't have control over what other people think, but I have control over how I feel and what I know and what I can give.
But I think your art form, music and singing, compared to Cantonese opera art form, is different. Because our art form is traditional and also mainly in Cantonese opera. So just like when an orchestra or just a pop music group, people listen music, that's fine. Doesn't need to be what language, just music. Like any orchestra, Chinese orchestra, they have lots of audience. But for Cantonese opera, it's difficult. You have to have, it's such a narrow field of that you can get your audience. So, but for you are singing the music, and especially the music is for the children, and I don't see any problem that you will encounter.
Yeah, it is interesting when you have the goal of being able to respect the culture and the tradition, and yet present it in a way that your new audience and your old audience, the mainstream audience plus your traditional audience will understand. I think that is quite a challenge because you have to satisfy both of your audience members. And you're talking about grants, and as artists, we all know that it's important to understand what is the purpose of these grants. Well, these grants want to promote art and culture within where? Within their granting body, Canada, and that's their primary audience. So I do think that it's quite a challenge when you want to respect the integrity of the art form while still transliterating it or modifying it in just such a way that will be true to its vision, but also make it more accessible to the other groups.
Yeah, for the Vancouver Cantonese opera is a very traditional art form. That's why it's difficult to have new mainstream audience. But since 2020, we started the new direction is to update our art form. So after the prop master stream, we just finished the script writing of The Awakening. So in this new opera, we will have a fusion of swing dancing, and also we will have a fusion of wushu and many other new components, singing in Cantonese and English. So it's going to be a new opera for people to like.
That's exciting. I'm so excited for this particular work, and I'm happy for you.
Yeah, we are taking a new challenge.
Wonderful.
Especially, we also learning how to do the social media. Yeah.
That's always challenging. No matter where you're at, it's always
Yes.
challenging. Rosa, it was so nice to meet you.
Yeah.
And so nice to talk with you in person. And I'm looking forward to collaborating. We can definitely continue our conversations.
Yeah, we should talk about it. Yeah. I really enjoy it.
Yeah, nice
Thank
to
you.
meet you.
Yeah.
Thank you for listening to our conversation. It's been such a pleasure to talk with Rosa, and it's been such a joy and a privilege to share about the work that I do and the fusion folk and where it's going. So,
Yeah, I really enjoyed talking to Gina, and thank you for giving me the opportunity. Thank you.
thank you so much.
Bye-bye.